Hello everyone, and this video will be about creating shape tweens. And shape tweens, they can be a little confusing, but for the most part, once you get them, they are pretty simple to use. The great thing about shape tweens is, one, they really don't require too much effort. The other good thing is that they change color for you. And changing color is really great when using shape tweens. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to change some shapes. I'm going to show you how to modify that animation by using something called shape hints. And then I'm also going to show you how it changes color. The other thing I'm going to show you is how not to use shape tweens. So, and the common errors that kind of occur when creating them and trying to work with them, because they can be a little confusing, but once you get the hang of it, it's not an issue at all. So the first thing I want to do is, I always like to keep my layers named, and I'm going to start by creating a circle or an oval. I've got a red oval. Now what I want to do in order to create a shape tween is I need frames for any type of animation. There's a few things I need, and one of them is frames. So I'm going to insert frame, and the other thing I'm going to do is, in order to create a shape tween, let's just go ahead and say I want to create shape tween. What's going to happen is this bar is going to turn green, but right now it's dotted because we haven't actually told it to turn into anything. So you need to make sure that you make either a keyframe or a blank keyframe. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly. I'm going to insert a blank keyframe. You need to have a keyframe, otherwise this will not work at all. So the way it works is, keyframe number 1 is sort of your starting position, point A. And then keyframe number 2, no matter what frame it's on, is your B position, your ending point. So I'm going to go ahead and use the star tool, poly star tool. Make sure I'm under poly star, press OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and change the color, and I'm going to make it blue. And then I'm simply just going to create a star. So I did that on frame 24. So frame 1 to 24. And now that dotted line became a solid green arrow, because this is Flash telling you, or now known as Adobe Animate, that it knows what you want it to do. It knows the specific instructions of how to go from point A to point B now. And the great thing is we didn't have to go through frame by frame, slightly adjusting color to get this color change either. It just did it for you right away. So by the midpoint it's approximately purple, and then at the end it's blue. So red morphs into purple, blue star. There you go. So that's the really basic way to use a shape tween. Now, other things we can do is we can do something called a shape hint. So a shape hint, make sure you're on the first frame and go to Modify, Shape, Add Shape Hint. And you're going to notice you get this little letter in the center, and it's going to be, in this case it's an A. So I'm going to put my A here on this far right side, and then I have to go ahead and go to my furthest last frame where I have my star, my last keyframe, and on this one I'm going to go ahead and put the A over here just to show you. So what I've done now is, when I play this back, I have my starting position here on A, and I'm going to hit play, and it does this weird twist because I told it to go from this point to that point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another one. I got to make sure I'm on frame 1, Modify, Shape, Add Shape Hint. And on this one, I'll put on this side. And I'm really trying to get this thing to just kind of twist itself to show you that you can get it to do some pretty neat stuff. And then on this one, I'm going to put it over here. And one thing you have to notice is that when it's here, it's red. Red means like stop, it's not working. And green means go, it is working. So here, I'm going to go ahead and put this on this side. And now I'm going to go ahead and play again. And you'll see it does this cool little twist. So you can modify your star or whatever shape tween you're doing to get some really, really cool effects. I'll add 2 more. Modify, shape, and I'm on frame 1. Add shape hint. And this one I'll put at the bottom. And then on this one, I'll go ahead and I'll put it at the top. So now I'll go ahead and play it back. And I'm getting to another sort of twisty, windy kind of star rotation morph. And then I'll go ahead and I'll add 1 more. Modify, shape, add shape hint. And this one I'm going to put at the top. And then over here, put this one at the bottom. So you'll notice they're all green. That means green is go, and it knows what you want it to do, and it should be doing this sort of cool little morphy twist thing. I don't know. So you get the idea. And it's really, really helpful in that way. Now I'm going to show you some things not to do when creating shape tweens, or just some common errors, let's say. Common errors. So I'm going to hide this layer, and I've already showed you one. So here's another one. Let's just say I have a square that turns into a circle, and I'm going to, instead of hitting insert blank keyframe, this time I'm going to press F6 or insert keyframe, and this time I'm going to do a circle. And when I play it back, it just turns like so. So what we're going to do from here is I'm going to go ahead, insert shape tween, or create shape tween, and you'll notice it goes from one shape to the other, with this staying here the entire time. And the reason that is because on this final frame, we kept both information. So I'm going to undo that real quick. I have a square here, and then on this one I have a square and a circle. So in order to get rid of it, create shape tween, I need to make sure I delete this on the last frame, and now it should work just fine. Okay. So other things you do not want to do is you're going to get some really, really crazy kind of shapes, but we'll call this error test, because not necessarily is it an error, but it is extremely difficult to sort of, if you're trying to create a custom shape, I'm going to hide this one. I have no idea what this is going to do at the moment, but if you're trying to create a custom shape to twist and turn into something else, and okay, and then I'm going to fill it in, and I'll choose a different color. This might work right, and it might not. My goal is for it not to work right, because I want to show you what kind of happens. Insert blank keyframe. And let's see what happens. Create shape tween. Oh, this might actually work pretty decent. So that did work okay. But here's the thing I want to show you next. Is that, let's say you start doing some kind of coloration in here, and you want to get some cool little stuff. This time I don't know what's going to happen, but I do want to warn you that shape tweens can do some pretty funky things. Let's go ahead and play this back. So it's starting to get a little weird. So these shapes are starting to sort of just blob up and then get into something else. You can really get this to kind of, I don't know, go kind of crazy in a way, because you can have so many, especially if you're using like the pencil tool from one shape tween to another, where you have those like where it calculates those lines and things. it can go bonkers and not know how to tween itself, and you'll have like spludge everywhere. So if you mess around with it long enough, you'll definitely see what I'm talking about. You're starting to see it right here, where you're getting that spludge happening, and kind of if you have a lot of line work and things like that, generally these will not work well, even if you have shape hints. So let me try and see if this will even come close to working. I'm going to go ahead and do some close enough regions in here to sort of hopefully get that same result. But I'm trying to get this to actually shape tween right. I don't know if it will, but that's the goal. So let's try it one more time and see if anything actually happens. It did actually kind of work, but I tried to get it to work to by placing these relatively in the same places. It worked okay. So you got to make sure that when you're creating these, that if it doesn't have relative information in the regions that you have this information in, it's not going to know what to do, and it's going to do that sort of splurge thing. Those are some things to be aware of. So we've got all these different little animations, and yeah, I hope you have fun learning the shape tween. We're going to expand into it a little bit further in detail. We're going to get into gradients and some motion with it, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Message me if you have any questions.